Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly Profile here, and welcome. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. The name of our show is Domestic Abuse and Violence and Meeting Mr. Wrong. The one thing you gals don't want to do out there is pick up with Mr. Wrong. Also, at this point in time, I'd like to bring up my book, Discovering Lazarus, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of John Kelly, and how I kicked drugs, how I became a drug counselor, a psychotherapist, and a profiler. Thank you so much for all of you that have done reviews on the book, that have purchased the book. I can't thank you enough. Thanks again. What can I say? After 30 years of counseling and working with the court systems, I'll be answering some questions today on my take, on my bottom line, on domestic abuse and violence inside the family system.
Okay, thank you, John. First question here. What is your take on today's family system in the United States?
I see the family system in the United States as the foundation of the country. If you look at it from the beginning, this country was built on families. This country was built on the families that came over and the families that got together and started the United States of America. That's what built the country. Okay? So the country is built on the foundation of the people. There's no question about it. And as the people go, so goes the country. So the people are made up of the family system, right? So as the family system goes, so goes the people, so goes the country. That simple. I have various concerns, which I'm sure we'll go over. So.
Okay. So I know previously you've talked about men being the biggest offenders. Can you explain this?
Yeah, we men are the biggest offenders when it comes to domestic violence and causing trauma within the family system. And I think the biggest thing I see is the disconnect between fathers and sons. And I see it between mothers and daughters as well, but I want to focus on fathers and sons today. When I see that disconnect, and it doesn't matter to me what race it is, what color you are, it has nothing to do with it. I mean, what it has to do with is that specific gender connection, father to son, mother to daughter. When you see a disconnect and a situation, a non-bonding situation take place between a father and a son, and we'll call it an attachment disorder. That's the clinical term for it, but not the bonding not taking place with the father and son. I mean, really, what's going on is major trouble because daughters need mothers and sons need fathers. And when that son does not get that specific gender nurturing from the father for whatever reason, the father decides to leave the family, or the father's zoned out on drugs or any other chemicals, or the father just doesn't want to pay any attention and is very neglectful to the son. When that takes place, that creates a lot of anger in the son, in the male, in many, many cases. Not all cases, not 100% of the cases, or 100% of the people, but in a lot of the cases, a lot of the people we've seen over the years. And then the kid doesn't get the male nurturing at home, the young man. So the young man now starts to go into the street and he starts to look for that male nurturing, that male camaraderie, and ends up with, some gangs or some pretty rough people where he's accepted and he feels comfortable and he's starting to get that nurturing. What happens then is, this particular young man will then eventually probably meet a young girl, and that young girl can really have an attraction for this young man and fall for this young man who's filled with this anger, rage, and resentment because he did not get it from his father, and now he's even tougher because he's been in the street. And he doesn't necessarily have to be belonging to a gang or anything, but can be a child of the streets, and can be involved with drugs and other things because the family system did not work out for him. It failed him, and now this young girl who's attracted to him is going to end up with Mr. Wrong.
Okay, thank you. So you touched on the dynamics of the father and son. What is the significance of the father and daughter relationship in the family?
Well, the significance of the father and daughter relationship in the family, if it's, let's say, the same family, similar family, where the father's a non-emotional kind of guy, really doesn't want to put time into the kids, really is out there, with drugs or any other kind of substance, or is running with a gang, or is preoccupied with gambling or anything else, or for whatever reason is not emotionally available for the young girl. We're all raised to believe that our mothers and fathers love us. So, for a young girl growing up in a situation like that, it can be pretty traumatic, not getting that fatherly nurturing, and having a non-emotional role model who she believes loves her, or who's supposed to love her and take care of her. Later on in life, she can gravitate towards non-emotional kinds of men because that was her first experience with any type of male, was her father, who was supposed to have loved her and cared for her and was not emotionally available. So now, later on in life, as she gets older and starts to date, she may gravitate to non-emotional kinds of men, and that can present a problem. They can end up becoming Mr. Wrong for various reasons.
Okay, so what about women who get fooled into relationships with sociopaths and psychopaths?
Well, this is what happens. I mean, again, if you're dealing with a boyfriend, or we'll call him Mr. Wrong, who has, grown up without any kind of really healthy male nurturing from his father, what can happen is, he can grow up pretty tough, pretty rough in the streets, and he could be sociopathic, even psychopathic, and he can come on to be this very charming, loving, caring guy to win this young girl's or woman's approval, and really try to get in with her to have a strong and healthy, loving relationship, and lead her to believe that, although he may not have the capability of giving her that love, care, and respect that she deserves. And then she can end up trapped and in a position where she feels, well, he's got some things wrong with him. Her maternal instincts may kick in, and she may think she can fix him or whatever, and so she'll stay in the relationship. But the relationship can only progress lots of times with a sociopath or psychopath in a very destructive, controlling, narcissistic direction, and his need for control can become very abusive.
Okay, so would you say women tend to seek a male companion who has similar traits to her father?
Usually, I found this. I mean, that it's unbelievable how people can attract, and we say even opposites can attract. But what is so interesting to me is how women can be attracted to men, even if they're Mr. Wrong, even if they're not so good for them. The bottom line is they're attracted to something in that guy that has something to do with their father, usually. Okay? Now, that's not all the time. There's situations take place when women, are attracted or want to be attracted to more healthier of a guy than their father, a more healthy person than their father was, and somebody that they feel is going to care and show them love, respect, and value. Unfortunately, it depends. It depends on if they're being fooled or not. And again, this is where we have to keep an eye out for this, domestic abuse and violence. And it usually is surrounded by control. We'll call him again Mr. Wrong, trying to, exhibit control over his girlfriend or wife or whatever, along with this low self-worth, this low self-esteem that he's carrying around. And to make up for this low self-esteem, he's got to appear in control and macho. And then depending on how punitive he wants to get to exhibit this control, it can be extremely traumatic. So it's very important, I think, for women to really check out, a new fella that they start to date. I think it's very important. Give it a while. Give it a little while.
Some good advice. So what will the next show be about?
The next show we're going to be focusing on is, domestic violence and its extremely traumatic effect on children. I mean, this is something that really eats at me because I see child abuse exploding throughout the country. I feel it's really eating at the core of this country. As I said, the family is really the foundation of the country. So if the family is cracking, the foundation of the country is cracking. And again, I really have to bring it back into, child abuse in general as being this country's bane and behind a lot of the pathology and social ills that we see, including overdoses, suicide, gangland violence, just people being murdered all over the place. One last thing I'd like to say too, I'm known for the work I've done in my researching of serial killers. I have not found one serial killer who has had a good relationship with their father. I've not found one in all my research. But I've seen so many serial killers be able to charm so many of the women that have married them. They have been able to fool women into marrying them and having relationships with them, by using this mask, and it is a mask of sanity. So that's why next time we want to get into the children and the traumatic effects of what happens with the minds of our children. As Walt Disney said it, I mean, it's and I'm quoting Walt Disney, our greatest national resource is the minds of our children. Okay? Our greatest national resource is the minds of our children. So we got to really handle them with care. And, that's definitely something Walt Disney was onto a long time ago. With that being said, we'll wait for the next show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Please continue to subscribe. We can't thank you enough for your subscriptions. Please comment. We love your comments. We love to hear from you, what you think. Everybody has an answer. Nobody's wrong. It's the power of the question. So feel free to speak your mind. I certainly don't have all the answers. So we'd like to hear from you. And most importantly, stay safe out there. Take care of yourself and make it a great day. God bless.